At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. The Honorable Richard Stone. He served on the council for 12 years and as mayor in 1972 and 1977.
Thank you, Marty. I was first sworn in as mayor in 1972. I was actually elected in 1968, which is a few years ago, and served out one full term, was re-elected in 72 and was immediately elected as mayor. I was responsible for, and some of this is going to sound really funny to you because it's so taken for granted, for putting fluoridation in our water. In the early 1970s, our water was not fluoridated. There were a few communities where it was, and there was a big push on by the dental associations to have water fluoridated, mainly for the teeth of the children. I was approached by some of the dental societies. I agreed with its importance, and then spent the next 2 years fighting the battle of fluoridation. I was called a communist, a leftist. My life was threatened. The police chief, without my knowledge, had assigned a police officer anytime I was in the hallway and in a public place to guard me, which I didn't even know. When I found out about it, I asked him to please have him leave because he scared me. In any event, we finally passed fluoridation. As I recall, it was 3-2. But ever since then, Beverly Hills water has been fluoridated. My children didn't get the benefit, but all 9 of my grandchildren went through the schools in Beverly Hills, and I can tell you that all of them have terrific teeth, not like mine, because they started out with fluoridation and they had it all through their early years because they all lived in Beverly Hills. And I always pat myself on the back for that. It's one of those little things that nobody knows about, and I don't really care that nobody knows about it, but I know about it, and I think it was a really good thing for the children of Beverly Hills, many of whom now live here. In 1972, I was approached by a gentleman named Bill Burke, who served with the city of LA in some kind of a senior commission. And he asked me how come Beverly Hills has no senior facility at all. There are no provisions made by the city for seniors. They have no place to go. They come to Los Angeles, but Beverly Hills offers them nothing. How come? And I couldn't give him an answer. So I went and talked to the staff. I talked to my colleagues on the council. We all decided that was really a shame. Nobody had thought of it in Beverly Hills up to that point, including me. And we then had inspected it, went into it, studied it. You know what happens in Beverly Hills. And ultimately, the council passed resolutions authorizing the construction of a senior center here in Roxbury Park, and it has been here ever since, serving thousands and thousands of seniors. It offered people who were alone, who were elderly, it offered them a place to go which they simply did not have. That was a good thing, and it's still going on. In around, I think it was 1977 or thereabouts, when I was in my second term as mayor, Prop 13 was passed. Among other things, Prop 13 froze property taxes on all residential and commercial property. All real property taxes were frozen. What passed it, of course, was a lot of people who were on fixed incomes, living in homes that they lived in for many years, and they were simply being taxed out of their homes. And some very sharp political people observed that, took advantage of it, got Prop 13 on the ballot, and it ultimately passed. But at that time, we had a lot of seniors with fixed income, who were living in Beverly Hills with no ability to increase their income, and they were gradually being forced out of their apartments. And I had spoken to, before it passed, to one of the large, very large apartment owners in Beverly Hills about Prop 13, and we ended up shaking hands on an informal agreement. It wasn't binding because I had no power to bind the city, that if Prop 13 indeed did pass, he would not raise rents for a minimum of 2 years, because the property owners, they rolled it, the 13 not only froze taxes, it rolled it back for 2 years. So it was a great bonanza. As it happened, the day after Prop 13 passed at the ballot, he raised taxes, he raised rents across the board by 6%. And I went to the council and I said, this is just outrageous, because he owned a lot of property and others were following. And these people are going to be forced out. And they then passed rent control. Under Prop 13, municipalities, counties, practically anyone in the state were barred from raising taxes. It wasn't just the property taxes, it was any tax. We got the council together, called a meeting for 11 o'clock on the evening before the day that Prop 13 took effect, and we passed changes in our license tax, which had the effect for the city of offsetting the declines that the city was going to suffer from the reduction in property taxes. And we raised the license tax an equivalent amount, particularly on apartment owners. And that meant, over the years, it has meant tens of millions of dollars because we did that. And when I came on the council, one of my visions for Beverly Hills was a upscale, wealthy village. I didn't want to be like Century City, and we were trending in that direction. In 1972, the council, by a 3-2 vote, of course, passed a moratorium on any new construction in Beverly Hills for a period, I believe it was a year, for the purpose of studying zoning ordinances and coming up with an ordinance that would preclude the onslaught of large commercial development. And about a year later, we came out with an ordinance which, the effect of which was to put a 3-story, 45-foot height limit and 2 times density on any commercial construction in Beverly Hills thereafter. That remained in effect, actually, for over 30 years, until the Montage was built, and that clearly is totally different than the 45 height limit and the 2 times density. It did maintain Beverly Hills with a village concept for over 30 years as property values rose steadily. And I'm happy to have advised you of all this, and it forced me to sit back and think about, what did I do all those years on the council? That's it. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Dr. Charles Aronberg was elected to the City Council in 1972 and re-elected, serving as mayor in 1974 and 1979. The Honorable Charles Aronberg.
Also, I'd like to thank Marty and Ira and everyone who put this together tonight. And thank Sandy, my average wife, who was sitting there. We've had 21 happy years together, married 38 years. Thank you. Running for the council was an adventure. Serving was an adventure. I was living just a block from here, and the Courier had a picture of a building that was planned for Spaulding Drive, 14 stories. And it seemed unbelievable at the time, and some of the neighbors got together and said, what are we going to do? And we went to the council, and they were interested. Richard was excellent, but let's say other people were not against it, and we got the neighborhood together. I appeared at the council many times. We got petitions. It took so much time to do that people said, you might as well be on the council. So that's how I got on the council. And the four things that I remember the most in Beverly Hills, one was the paramedics. And I worked hard and was told that they were the best in the nation and then the best in the world. Greystone Mansion, there was a movement to sell it and subdivide it. And so I worked hard on that because I wanted to protect green space and save it for the city. That worked out okay. And then, again, to try to preserve life and health, worked on the fire department and the police department and tried to expand them. And the city manager at that time said, well, we'll hire 4 more police. And I said, how about 18 or 20 more? So we compromised at 6 or 8 or 10, and that went on for 12 years. And happy to enlarge the police and fire department. We've all had a lot of heroes in our lives, our parents, friends, teachers. And one of mine was Winston Churchill, and he was asked to address the graduation of the Naval Academy in Great Britain. So he went up to the platform and said, never give up. Never, never give up. Never, never, never give up. He sat down. Thank you.